I promised to let my brother borrow my car for 2 weeks. That was 6 months ago, and now he's ignoring my texts and getting parking tickets in my name. So I've never been the type to post about personal stuff online, but honestly, I need some perspective from people who aren't emotionally involved. I, male, 31, saved for 3 years at my IT job to finally buy my Toyota Camry outright. No loans, no payments, just mine. I know it's stupid, but I was actually really proud of this. It was the first major purchase I've ever made completely on my own without any debt. My younger brother Ethan, male, 26, has always been, well, irresponsible is putting it nicely. Our parents divorced when I was 14, and he was 9, and he basically became my mom's favorite overnight. She let him do whatever he wanted, while I was the one who should know better about everything. I'm not one to hold grudges, even though I'm about to list like a dozen grudge-worthy things, but there's been a pattern over the years that I've tried to ignore. Borrowed $500 for emergency rent, then posted Instagram stories from a beach vacation that same week. Took my laptop for a job interview, and returned it with beer spilled all over the keyboard. Shows up 2+ hours late to every single family event, but my mom always says, that's just how he is. Promised to help me move apartments, but never showed. Then texted at 11 p.m. asking if I still needed help, when I was obviously done. 6 months ago, his old Honda finally died after years of him ignoring the check engine light and never changing the oil, despite me offering to teach him basic car maintenance multiple times. He came to me looking desperate, saying he had job interviews lined up but couldn't get to them, and could he please borrow my car just for a couple weeks until he got back on his feet. I tried to have a serious talk with him about expectations. I asked if he could really be responsible with my car, bringing up how he'd returned my headphones broken and my camping gear muddy in the past. He made me feel guilty for bringing up old stuff, saying I never believe in him and always think the worst. So I reluctantly agreed, but insisted on specific terms, 2 weeks maximum, and $200 a month to cover insurance and wear and tear. I wrote it down and had him sign it, though he complained about the paperwork and asked if I didn't trust him. 2 weeks quickly became a month because he said he got the job but wouldn't get paid for a few weeks. I believed him and thought maybe he was finally growing up. That was me being stupid and optimistic again. Soon his texts got further apart. He always had some excuse why he couldn't return the car yet or pay me anything yet. Flat tire, extra work shift, being sick, etc. Then I find out through mutual friends that he's actually using my car to do DoorDash and Uber Eats, while telling me he's broke and can't pay me a cent. And his Instagram is full of pictures of him and his girlfriend Alicia, female, 24. They've been dating like 8 months, taking weekend trips to the beach and the mountains, in my car. About 2 months ago, I had this important work conference I needed to drive to. I gave Ethan 2 weeks' notice that I needed my car back for. The night before, he texted saying he's on his way to drop it off, then stopped responding completely. I had to rent a car last minute and expense it to my company, which was super embarrassing to explain to my manager. The breaking point came last week when Ethan texted asking if I could add him to my insurance policy because it would save us both money. Save money. He hasn't paid me a single dollar. Then, literal hours later, I get notification of 3 unpaid parking tickets on my car, totaling almost $300. A mutual friend lets slip that Ethan's been telling his girlfriend Alicia that the Camry is his car that he bought after getting some promotion. What promotion? The guy works like 20 hours a week at an electronics store when he's actually employed. I sent him a final text 3 days ago, giving him 48 hours to return my car and pay at least some of what he owes me. He replied saying he'd bring it tomorrow, then claimed his phone had battery issues and didn't see my text until later. Then nothing. Complete silence. I talked to my lawyer friend who confirmed the obvious. The car's in my name. I own it. I have every right to get it back, however I need to. So, would I be the asshole if I just showed up with a tow truck and took my car back? I know this will cause massive issues. My mom will absolutely take his side and say I'm being materialistic over just a car, and family should help family. But it's been 6 months of this bullshit, and I'm done. Edit. Since people are asking, yes, I have a spare key. The problem is I don't know exactly where he keeps the car. He's still living with our mom sometimes, staying with friends other times, and often at his girlfriend's place. So I can't just go pick it up without figuring out where it is first. Edit 2. To the people suggesting I report the car stolen, I've thought about it, but my lawyer friend advised against it since I technically gave him permission to use it initially. She said it could be considered a civil matter rather than criminal. Edit 3. Thanks for all the validation that I'm not crazy here. For those asking about the total financial damage, rough estimate is about $4,000 between missed insurance payments, which I've been covering, the parking tickets, what I spent on the rental car, and the extra 20,000 plus miles he's probably put on it doing food deliveries for 6 months. Now for the first update. I promised to let my brother borrow my car for 2 weeks. That was 6 months ago. I just got it back with a tow truck. A lot has happened since my last post about my brother basically stealing my Camry. First, thanks for all the comments and messages supporting me. To everyone who said I was being taken advantage of, you were 1000% right. After that 48-hour ultimatum I mentioned, that Ethan completely ignored, I finally decided I had to get my car back one way or another. I know I said I was considering just showing up with a tow truck, and that's basically what ended up happening, but there's a whole saga that led up to that decision. So after Ethan ghosted my ultimatum, I checked my EasyPass account online to see where he'd been driving my car. I noticed he'd been making these regular trips to Westbrook, city about 40 minutes away, almost every weekday. At first I actually thought, maybe he really does have a job, because he told everyone he was working at some marketing firm. Stupid me actually felt bad for a minute, thinking maybe I was being too harsh. But then, I ran into our mutual friend Chris at the grocery store, and he mentioned Ethan got fired from the electronics store like 5 months ago for showing up late too many times. So whatever he was doing in Westbrook definitely wasn't the retail job he claimed to have when he first borrowed my car. I know this sounds completely psycho, but I started checking his Instagram and his girlfriend Alicia's stories to figure out where my car might actually be. I noticed they posted these annoying couple photos every Sunday from this little brunch place near her apartment, and I could see my car parked in the visitor spots in the background of some of their selfies. So I finally had a location and a time when I knew where the car would be. Anyways, I called this towing company that specializes in repos. The guy on the phone asked if I expected any conflict during the repossession, which made me super nervous, but I said probably not. I was wrong, lol. I showed them the registration, insurance, all the proof it was my car, and scheduled everything for Sunday morning. But before all that went down, I had this super uncomfortable dinner at my mom's house. I wasn't planning to go, but she kept calling saying we needed to talk as a family about the car situation. I should have known it was a setup, because when I got there, guess who was sitting at the table looking all sad and mopey? Ethan. My mom immediately starts with the family needs to support each other speech. Ethan's putting on this whole act about how he's been going through some stuff and how he just needs a little more time with the car. I tried to be direct and asked about the parking tickets and all the miles he'd put on my car. He literally waved his hand and called them minor details we could work out later. Minor details. Then my mom chimes in saying I'm being materialistic about just a car, and I almost lost it. I broke down the actual financial impact, the insurance I've been paying, the depreciation from all the delivery driving, the missed work conference, the rental car I had to get, the parking tickets. It all added up to around $4,000. And that's not even counting the unpaid $200 a month he promised. You know what his solution was? He offered to pay me $50 a month. $50. At that rate, it would take him over 6 years to pay me back if he even stuck to it. And my mom had the nerve to call this a reasonable compromise and kept pressuring me to accept it. When I refused, Ethan got all defensive, saying I've always thought the worst of him. Then my mom started in on how I'm unforgiving and holding grudges, and it was so obviously manipulative that I just got up and left. That dinner basically confirmed what I already knew. My mom will always enable his behavior, no matter what. It also totally solidified my decision to take my car back. Sunday morning, I was so anxious waiting near Alicia's apartment building. I kept thinking Ethan would somehow know what I was planning and move the car. The tow truck guy, Dave, was super cool about everything though. When I finally saw my car in the parking lot, I almost didn't recognize it. There were new dents and scratches all over it, bumper stickers for bands I hate who puts bumper stickers on someone else's car, and I could see fast food bags and energy drink cans everywhere inside. But the confrontation? Oh man. I was expecting to wait for Ethan to come out for brunch, but Alicia actually came out to the car first. She looked confused seeing me and the tow truck near Ethan's car. Ugh. I explained that it was actually my car that Ethan borrowed temporarily. She looked skeptical until I showed her the registration and insurance with my name. She told me Ethan said he bought the car himself last year after getting some big promotion. I showed her all the unanswered texts on my phone about returning the car, going back months. You could see she realized Ethan had been lying to her about everything. Then Ethan comes out of the building, all smiles until he sees what's happening. He ran toward the car yelling. This was the worst part because he kept switching between anger and begging, saying he'd pay me tomorrow. Meanwhile, Alicia starts confronting him about lying to her about owning the car. And he tried to create this ridiculous diversion saying, I've always been jealous of him. Then Alicia asked him about his marketing job in Westbrook, and he just froze. Like he couldn't keep track of all his lies anymore. Dave, the tow truck guy, was a total pro and just kept hooking up the car while all this drama was happening. Ethan tried to physically block him at one point, but backed off when Dave gave him this look. We finally got the car loaded and drove away with Ethan, literally yelling in the parking lot. My phone started blowing up immediately. Ethan called me 27 times in a row, I counted, and sent texts ranging from, I'm going to kill you, to, please, I'm sorry, I'll fix everything. I ignored all of them. The full assessment of what he did to my car is just depressing. There's over 25,000 additional miles on it. 25,000. There are these mysterious stains on the seats that I don't even want to know about. Cigarette burns in the upholstery, even though he supposedly quit smoking years ago. Like every maintenance warning light is on. And I found more parking tickets in the glove compartment, bringing the total to almost $450. My mom has been calling nonstop. Her voicemails get progressively more dramatic. I've destroyed the family over just a car and humiliated Ethan in front of his girlfriend. Because apparently, his feelings are the priority after he stole my car for 6 months. I can't even. The only silver lining is my cousin Jake reached out to say he supports my decision. Turns out Ethan borrowed his PS4 a few months ago and then sold it to buy concert tickets. So I'm definitely not the only one he's stolen from. But the weirdest development. Alicia messaged me on Instagram apologizing for her part in the situation. She asked if we could meet for coffee to discuss other things Ethan has been lying about. We're supposed to meet tomorrow, and honestly, I'm nervous about what else I'm going to find out. So, yeah, I got my car back, but the family drama is just beginning. I'm mentally exhausted from all of it. Edit. To everyone asking about the car's condition, yes, I'm taking it to my mechanic first thing tomorrow. The check engine light is on, and there's a weird grinding noise when I brake, so I'm pretty worried. I'll update after I know how bad the damage is. Edit 2. Several people asked why I didn't report the car stolen. My lawyer friend advised against it initially because I had technically given him permission to use it. But looking back, maybe I should have anyway, once it was clear he wasn't returning it. Now for the second update. So it's been almost 3 weeks since I repossessed my car from my brother, and holy shit, you guys. I didn't think things could get more insane, but they did. The day after I got my car back, I took it straight to my mechanic. I tried to teach Ethan how to change oil years ago, but he was too busy playing video games to learn. Should have been my first clue about how he'd treat my car, I guess. My mechanic checked my car and found a lot of problems. Transmission fluid was dangerously low, brake pads worn down to the metal, oil hadn't been changed in over 8,000 miles, even though I left a sticky note on the dash about when it needed changing. Check engine light was on for multiple issues. Tires worn unevenly, some kind of weird electrical issue with the dashboard lights. The total repair bill was over $2,000 for a car that was in perfect condition when I let him borrow it. The mechanic said if I'd waited even another week or two to get it back, the transmission might have completely failed, which would have been like $4,000 plus to replace. I've been documenting everything for small claims court, by the way. I know I probably sound really vengeful right now, which I guess I am, even though I'm generally very forgiving. But anyway, I've got a folder with all the receipts, texts, the signed agreement, everything. When I was cleaning out all my brother's crap from my car, I found 6 more parking tickets stuffed in the glove compartment, bringing the total to over $700. Empty liquor bottles under the passenger seat. He told our mom last year he'd stopped drinking completely. A bunch of fast food bags with food still in them. And the weirdest thing, women's jewelry in the center console. Like a couple of necklaces and a bracelet that definitely didn't match Alicia's style based on her Instagram pics. My phone has been blowing up since I got the car back. My mom called me crying like 20 plus times saying I need to make things right with the family. At first, I thought she was just concerned about the drama, but nope. She was trying to guilt me into giving the car back to Ethan because apparently he needs it for work opportunities, and I'm privileged because I have a steady job and can afford to help him. I can't even. The most frustrating thing is how Ethan keeps changing his story depending on who he's talking to. To our mom, I overreacted to a simple misunderstanding, and he was just about to return the car when I embarrassed him by taking it back. To our mutual friends, he was literally on his way to pay me back when I ambushed him. And on social media, he's posting all this vague crap about toxic family members and learning who really has your back. It's so infuriating. Oh, and speaking of Alicia, we met for coffee, like I mentioned in my last post. And holy shit, you guys, it was a lot. She looked super stressed when she showed up and thanked me for meeting her, despite everything being so awkward. I told her I definitely didn't blame her for any of this, since it seemed like Ethan had been lying to her too. She thought Ethan was a marketing executive, making like $90K a year. I had to explain that, as far as I knew, he'd been working part-time retail jobs and getting fired from most of them within months. She said Ethan always paid for these expensive dates and bought her nice gifts, which now seems concerning. Where was that money coming from? Because it definitely wasn't from returning my car or paying me the $200 per month he agreed to. I asked her about the Westbrook trips that showed up on my Easy Pass. Turns out she dropped him off at this office building. There a few times, but never actually went inside with him. She just assumed he was going to work. But now, she's not sure what he was actually doing there. She showed me some texts where he was still lying about the car situation, even after she saw me repossess it, with the registration proving it was mine. And weirdly, some of the times dates in those texts directly contradicted excuses he'd given me about why he couldn't return the car earlier. Then she admitted Ethan had borrowed money from her multiple times, claiming his bank account was frozen or his direct deposit was late. And she'd caught him using her credit card by mistake 3 separate times with charges she didn't recognize. When I asked about the jewelry I found in my car, she got this really weird look on her face and said it definitely wasn't hers. She seemed really bothered by that. After our meeting, I got kind of paranoid about my apartment security. Ethan used to have a spare key from when he stayed with me briefly a couple years ago. He claimed he lost it, but given everything else, yeah. So I changed my locks and installed security cameras. A few days after I met with Alicia, my uncle called me. He wanted to hear my side of the story because he'd been getting completely different versions from my mom and Ethan. During that convo, he mentioned that Ethan had borrowed $3,000 from him last year for some supposed medical emergency. I was like, what medical emergency? Because there literally wasn't one. So that's another person he's been scamming. But the craziest part happened just 3 days ago. I was leaving work and walking to the parking lot when I see Ethan just standing there next to my car, and he was holding a key in his hand. My spare key that he supposedly lost. At first, he's acting all friendly like nothing happened, calling the whole situation a big misunderstanding. He says he needs the car back because apparently Alicia broke up with him and he got kicked out of his apartment and has been sleeping on his friend's basement floor. He said he needed my car to get back on his feet. I told him absolutely not, especially after seeing the damage he'd done and the repair bills I was facing. And I swear, his attitude completely changed. He went from fake nice to aggressive in like 2 seconds. Then I noticed this tow truck pulling into the parking lot. He had called his own tow truck to take my car, claiming I had stolen it from him. I immediately called the police. And then Ethan tried to physically grab my current keys out of my hand. The tow truck driver looked super confused, so I showed him the registration and insurance with my name on it. While this is happening, 2 security guards from my building came over because of all the yelling. And then, out of nowhere, Alicia shows up. Apparently, Ethan had texted her to come verify the car was his. But instead, she told everyone present that Ethan had been lying about owning the car. He completely lost it, called her a traitor, and made these really disturbing comments about private photos that made her burst into tears. By the time the police arrived, Ethan was screaming about how I always get everything and how nobody understands what I've been through. They ended up handcuffing him for disorderly conduct, and afterward, Alicia told me Ethan had been stalking her since their breakup. I filed a police report and got a temporary restraining order the next day. Even my mom finally had to admit this was serious, though she still suggested I drop the restraining order to keep the peace. My uncle arranged this family meeting where, for the first time ever, people actually started sharing stories about all the crazy shit Ethan has pulled over the years. Turns out I'm not the only one he's stolen from or lied to. So, current situation. My car is fixed. Rip my savings account. I've upgraded my security system, right? And I've told everyone in my family I will not be in the same room as Ethan for the foreseeable future. He's living with our mom again, of course, and my uncle gave him a job at his construction company as a last chance thing. He's supposedly in therapy now, too. I'm just exhausted. Like, I'm relieved to have my car back and working, but I'm sad that it took this level of crazy for anyone to take my concerns seriously. I'm worried about Alicia because those threats about private photos were really disturbing, and I'm trying to be hopeful that maybe this will finally be the wake-up call Ethan needs. But honestly, I'm not holding my breath. The car situation might be resolved, but the family stuff, that's going to take a lot longer to fix, if it ever does. Edit. A lot of people are asking if I'm going to pursue legal action for the damages. Yes, I'm filing in small claims court for the repair costs, parking tickets, car rental reimbursement, and the unpaid rental fee he agreed to. My lawyer friend says I have a solid case with all the documentation. Edit 2. To those asking about the women's jewelry, no, I still have no idea who it belongs to. Alicia seemed genuinely shocked when I mentioned it. I'm keeping it in a Ziploc bag as evidence for now because it feels weird to just throw it away. Edit 3. Thanks for all the comments about changing the locks and installing cameras. No, I don't think I'm being paranoid after what happened. Ethan literally showed up at my workplace with a stolen key and a tow truck to take my car again. I'm not taking any chances.